turned on with spoons and multiple Edwards, that could get a little bit silly, I think. And it looks like we are about to begin. So let us see what we have as our first item in our second character. That's a Porum.
But we got a hook seed.
That's a hook? My goodness. All right. This is looking a little similar to some races I've seen recently that had underground access available right away. So Edward and Porum, who's our third character going to be? We have 3 characters turned on, so likely we're going to be seeing our third character very shortly. Dupes, however, are also turned on, so we could have several Porums and several Edwards.
That is very true. It could be a long while until we see our third character. I think Monday we didn't even see our third up until the solid 25-minute mark after several of the checks have been done. Even then, some people didn't even see the third, which was Cecil. He was behind the hook. He was also up on ordeals, so some people didn't even see him. As we see, we got Rubicante in Baron Castle, or it could be the Elements behind another Porum. So we still haven't seen that third character just yet.
Sir Rubicant and Porum out for a nice Friday night brunch. That's a nice crystal sword in the pot there if we end up finding a pain light anywhere, but chances of that happening are quite slim.
Indeed, and I just pointed out in the chat that we saw their very early coffins, as well as we do have sirens inside Mysidia, so we do have access to, if necessary, grind if we don't see any possibility of any apples whatsoever.
Yes, that's right. We do have sirens in Mysidia, as you were saying. Interesting caveat about this flag set is that the no sirens flag is turned on, but it only applies to chests and drops. They can still get sirens in shops, but they will not be finding any in chests.
Indeed, and Mysidia is home to nothing but mages, because again, a pair of Porums to go along with Edward.
The teen girl squad. I dig it. Well, I guess she's only 5. It's not really a teen girl squad, but it's a girl squad.
Edward out babysitting the kids tonight. It looks like we have Mecha already heading up towards Silvara, so we have there. While Crossack is heading towards Fabul to unlock himself that hovercraft already.
That is a nice Artemis bow from the upper floor of Dempsey, and that is like everybody in this party can use that, and that is a secondary Edward.
And as we see on Mecha's screen, we do have apples, we have silk webs. We are missing the other half of what's needed for the apples, one of the HP-based items. But we do have the apples in Silvara, so it looks like we're going to have a whole lot of HP on people today.
It's always good news, this Appleseed shop rules flag set. That is going to help immensely for Zeromus fight.
Absolutely, and we have Crossack going to go see what we've got hiding in Mist. Hopefully it's going to be something nice aside from a crystal ring, which is going to be very nice for their defenses, but no item shop here, sadly, just weapons and armor. Dragoon Helm being picked up, which is always helpful if you got somebody who can equip that.
Yeah, picking up a couple of Dragoon Helms when you don't know who your final character is, if there even will be one, not a bad idea, since quite a few characters can equip.
If I remember correctly, and we got power robes from Mecha in Toria at least, so that's equal by pretty much everyone, if I remember correctly, aside from Dark Knight Cecil. So at least, if anything else, we've got a nice little powerhouse option for either of the Edwards that are going to be in people's party.
Yes, that is quite a nice fight, and the power robe is very, very good armor to have.
And Mecha doubling down as well, getting Leviathan from the pass shop that's in Toria as well. So we have that going on as just another insurance, whoever he gets, it's going to be someone, at least it'll be coming in nice and powerful. And LQ Flurry also finding himself a set of adamant armor as well, right inside Kaipo, so that is pretty much going to make any damage it's come out whatsoever very laughable throughout the rest of the feed.
Goodness gracious, that is quite a find. Has anyone checked the character on Mount Ordeals? I would guess not. I don't think anyone has.
So far, the route people seem to be taking is Silvara, Kaipo, Toria, and Dancian and Mysidia, so no Ordeals checks just yet.
See, I find personally when I have free shops turned on, I'm not inclined to check chests at all, but in a seed like this, you know, the runners may feel inclined to check chests. I mean, Dr. Kosak is not, but you might be inclined to check them because we still have 3 passes out there in treasure chests that can only be found in untrapped chests.
And the 2 bosses we have checked so far have been swapped places. We have Octomom at the Antlion's place and Antlion at Octomom's place.
That's a nice Zeus Rage.
He's a one-hit wonder. We got Lore Master just appling up because he found them all. He's got himself some Thor Rages. See the 99 Coffins, Star Veils. As was said in chat, there are fire bombs that were at Torius. We have that at least.
Yes, firebomb and apples, that is quite a deathly combination.
The only thing that's going to be stopped by those fire bombs, though, is going to be if they have to go through the trap chests in the Sylph Cavern. There are those 2 chests that have the souls, so those are going to be the only, quote, stopping points there, because they do absorb that fire.
Yes, that's right. That was a hitch that we saw on Monday, for sure.
And as we saw from Crossack, we have the Adamant from Antlion, and up on the top of the summit we have another Porum and what looks like a Mylon fight, and Crossack is saying, nah, you can stay there.
She can handle this on her own. I'm getting out of here.
He's got too many children to look after already. And looks like heading towards Ordeals next. Yep, Ordeals is the next spot, so it's another character check. Still looks like he's looking for that 3rd character that we have access to. So far, nothing but Porums and the 2 Edwards that we have. So if we have to go our way through Holy, that is an option. But as mentioned, the fire bombs seems like it's going to be the way to go tonight. And we have another Edward up on Mount Ordeals. All right, so we've got a Bard and his White Mages.
This is excellent.
So it looks like, as Lore Master is doing, as you're going to want to do, it's going to be throw those apples in them and just firebomb, because at least the way these character drops are going, you are not finding any far.
Yeah, when you think about it, Edward and Porum's not like a ton of firepower. You know, they can both use Artemis bows and Artemis arrows, but there's only 1 spoon in the seed. We don't know who our 3rd character is yet, so may as well get our existing party members up to a very high HP count and start doing some damage from HP-based items.
Exactly, and as hoping that we find something up, we have lit bolts as well in Fabul, so we are no longer gated by the fire resistance. As was mentioned by Trenton in chat, Notice would get through that, but when you've got lit bolts pretty much take care of everything, because as far as I'm aware, I don't think there's any boss that lightning just doesn't do well again.
There are Artemis arrows in Fabul. That is quite nice.
Indeed. So there is still the options if they want to go the physical route. They've got the power shirts, they've got the adamants, and they've got the Artemis arrows and bow. But it looks, as we can all see here, there's the elixirs, there's a lot of apples. On Crossx stream, we have about 8 stacks of them.
Yeah, did Kozak miss the AU apples, the gold apples? Because it looks like he's using the silver apples instead of the gold ones, which, you know, are half as fast.
He did miss the AUs because I believe those were in Silvara. Interestingly enough, the golds are in the silver town, and the silvers are where you go for gold. But it seems that, yeah, so he just went for the silver apples. In all honesty, you see lit bolts, you see silver apples, I'd be doing the exact same thing. Just grab the apples there as opposed to try and track down golds. It's the safe route as opposed to trying to look for them, because you can just get your lit bolts and then just start tearing through anything you'll ever need.
That's a very good point, and the light bolts are going to come in handy for the enemies that the fire bombs are not going to be too good on, as you were mentioning.
Indeed, as I was saying, if someone in chat can correct me on this, I think lit bolts can pretty much get through every mob and every boss in here, just as an overall.
I think there are some moon bosses that absorb every element, every one of the standard elements.
You could be correct on that, but like you mentioned, there's more than enough Artemis arrows and enough bows in general, whether they be Artemis or not, to get
That's
with
right.
it.
That's right. It's Pale Dim, but Pale Dim is not going to put up much of a fight against Artemis arrows, as you were saying.
So it looks like we have Mecha going through Castle Eblin, finding those trapped chests, while we still wait for someone to go through Fabul as opposed to just buying up the entirety of the shop.
Ooh, that Stardust Rod. If only we had somebody that could use it.
Hey, don't give up now. We still have the possibility of seeing a Palom or Iridia. Not that I think anyone's going to grab them after all this time menuing and using these apples.
Very true, very true. We have a Stardust Rod, but nobody that can use it yet. But what we are looking for in here is there are 3 trap chests, and in this flag set, trap chests may contain key items. We don't know yet, but there are 3 checks in here.
With Mecha finding the first Mad Ogres on the top.
Nice thing about doing trap chests is that the enemies in them are susceptible to items like Hourglass that just stop them for a while. Mad Ogres, unfortunately, well, I guess we don't really need them because of the fire bombs, as we're seeing on Mecha Link's screen.
Yeah, the amount of HP that people can just give each other, the fire bombs just do damage based on your maximum HP, so it's going to be absolutely nothing. Fabul Gauntlet replaced with Dark Imps, yet another quick in and out with a couple of items here between Big Bomb and Nodus. They go down quickly.
So I'm guessing that was a Legend Sword that Mecha Link just picked up.
Yep, we have Dark Crystal in Fabul and Legend Sword in Castle Eblin. So we got a couple of key items going on real quick here. Nothing that really unlocks.
Oh my goodness, Dr. Kosak just got the Darkness Crystal.
Absolutely. So we do have access to another character. That is Moon access to another couple of trap chests up there. Still wondering if anyone's going to take the dive down and go and see what's going on underground. Mecha fighting yet another trap chest while Lore Master is going through and seeing it is just Rubik content, not the elements at Baron Castle.
Very nice, very nice. Well, the nice thing about having the hook and the Darkness Crystal is that the map is blown wide open. The bad thing about having the hook and the Darkness Crystals, everything is blown wide open. It's option paralysis is a real thing when you have 8,000 HP on your entire party and access to everything.
But that also gives a bit of a joy for us, because that means that we have the option of hopefully seeing some diversing runs. As Lore Master, just instead of waiting for the King community to go through their speech, just blows through them. He gets a Sand Ruby and another Porum for trouble.
Looks like Mecha Link is indeed opting to head underground.
All right, so we have someone who's going to go. We have one underground. We have one going through Baron. Hopefully, we have someone who's going to go up to the moon. Maybe give us an eye on that character, so we can pretty much have sight of all the characters on the seed. With access to that Sand Ruby giving who's ever in Troya.
Significant thing to note about the hook dive is that there are 2 trap chests in here, which is 2 more key item checks.
As
not only does it open up the underworld, it also is a couple of key item checks that are very important.
And something you mentioned when we were first talking about the treasure chests, there is still the use of checking through them because we do have the pass available in treasure chests. So there is the possibility of it being somewhere in an early area, somewhere later on, and just somewhere for them to find just for quick access. They don't need to go through all the trap chests just until they find their way to get. So with the addition of moon veils, as mentioned by Trenton in chat, they have moon veils as well. So no, they're absolutely stocked up and overflowing on any item delegated.
That's absolutely right. It's kind of interesting to think about like what the mindset of the players must be in terms of whether they want to look for the pass or not. Because like I was mentioning earlier, like when you have free shops, the chests are much less enticing to check, as checking chests can be quite slow sometimes. And now that some of the runners also have the darkness crystal, I wonder if like how what's the word I'm looking for? I wonder how adamant, for lack of a better word, they're going to be. Oh, there we have a pass. Mechalink just found the pass.
And that's why you check your chests, because you could see them anywhere that you possibly can. Nicely, it is on the way underground. As of right now, we don't have access to the magma key. But speaking of accessing key items, so seeing as we have the entirety of the map open between the darkness crystal and the hook. Yeah, it's a little bit to get up and down, but where are you looking first for your next key items and your next characters? Knowing that the only places we've checked have been Eblon, Baron Castle, and the Antlion Cave. Where's your next point?
At that point, like, oh, there's a Fusoya.
That's our third character. It's the juice. We have the old man, the bard, and the kids tonight. At least we do have the access to some nuke magic if they want to do reflex strats. But again, with the HP item, absolutely unnecessary. I honestly don't think Mecha's going to pick up food here because I saw the pile of exits and the HP items already used. And I am mistaken. It looks like we have him coming in and taking in Fu over one of the Edwards he has.
What are our Fusoya settings in this flag set?
Fusoya settings, I believe the ones in here are just the basic ones. Actually, so he has everything. So it's not you have to fight certain bosses to unlock everything. He is standard, so he's got all of the spells right off the hop.
Okay, then it absolutely makes sense that Mechalink would choose to take Fusoya because that is massive firepower in terms of nuke and quake, and in some cases white, especially with that Stardust Rod. Oof, that Fusoya is going to be doing some mad work right now, especially like even though we have like lots of HP, we have fire bombs, but still. Fusoya's magic, really nice to have.
Absolutely, and as we're looking at the different glitches that are on, we do have the warp glitch on, so if someone goes into Dwarf Castle, they can skip absolutely all the way through Sealed Cave if we don't get a Luca key right off the bat, or they don't even want to go check through it. They can just warp, grab the key item behind there, and saves them the entire trip if the Mist Dragon is not hidden behind Luca key.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that. We do have that glitch enabled. That's very useful. That Fusoya is a warp caster.
Absolutely, and it looks like there goes the bow on for bow glitch on Mecha as we have the Lore Master bringing out the big whale. So it looks like he's going to be the first one onto the moon.
Very nice. Let's see if we have old Lunar Man waiting up there as well.
Of the three characters, you think it's going to be another Fusoya? I'm going to say it's going to be another Edward, just so we can have seen 3 Porums, 3 Edwards at this point. The next time we'll see the old man is going to be behind the second fight in Dwarf Castle, though.
Now, it's kind of interesting that the pass in Eblin Cave was also an Eblin Cave in the sea that we watched on Monday. They're very close together. And I was trying to say earlier that, having the darkness crystal reduces the utility of the pass, meaning that sometimes, checking all those chests may not be worth, but in this case, very, very, very much worth.
Indeed, and Lore Master not even going to the moon, he's actually going to just go clear the giant, looks like he wants to check to see what character is back behind there.
That is a power play. That'd be pretty funny if he was gonna check the character. He might be checking the trap chest.
And there's that possibility too, because the main thing is we're still looking for. He's still looking for the Legend Sword, whereas Mecha is the only one who's currently found it. Though Flurry is going to be right behind him with the fact that he is also an Evelyn. That's where we found the sword. So once Flurry finds it, I don't think it's going to be very long for this world, especially with access to the Darkness Crystal, and going to have the crystal right there.
I think that most likely I don't think he's going to be checking the character on the Giant Babel, because the first boss slot, that is a lot of HP to have to truck through, even when you do have a ton of firebombs and such. Lip Bolt against Last Arm, quite effective. Let's see what was in this chest. That is a Luca key, which I mean, that's nice for anyone who doesn't have a Fusoya.
If I can guess right, absolutely it is. Unfortunately, and he's keeping the key, so he is going to keep that. I guess for the boss check for D-Mist, just to check, because there is no harm in 100% making sure that that boss is required for anything whatsoever.
It's too bad that Edge wasn't in the seeds, so the Adamant and Legend Sword are effectively useless. We don't have any need for the Excalibur now. We have no Pain Man, and we have no Edge.
No one to throw the Excals, no one to wield it with its powerful might, although, as we saw, we also have the Crystal Swords, so, yeah, the only thing those things are good for right now is +2 inventory.
Mechaling taking out the second trap chest in the hook path. The Mad Ogres, that's an Avenger that we can't use. The Mad Ogres typically have very high magic defense, but that doesn't matter when you have HP-based damage.
Absolutely, and Loremaster going for the Hairdryer chest definitely looks like he's just going through every single trap chest that he can find, trying to see whatever key items are available and where they're need to track down that crystal, because I was mistaken. It is not a Forbes the Crystal check. This is just, where's the crystal? Need to find it, because it's the only thing that he needs for Goma.
Yeah, and checking the trap chests, like the ones that are the ones that you get from the Darkness Crystal, little one-offs like in Lunar Path and in Giant Babel. I kind of like that play, because those are very easy to forget.
Indeed, Fortune does favor.
Out of the way.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah, so Fortune has favored the bold, as we saw the last time we did this seed, with the check behind the Twin Heart being done super early and getting the crystal, and no one doing that until about an hour or so in. However, looks like we do have Mist Dragon as one of the bosses in the Tower of Babel, though. Enough firebombs will make short work of that, though. And we have a Nope Rope with Dr. Crossex.
Who's their moon character? Oh, you were absolutely right. That is another Edward.
Come on, the seed's got to be randomized a little bit. Alright, so the Nope Rope was at the Vanilla D-Mist spot, so that had next to no HP. Quick Firebomb puts that one out, as Loremaster is going to start exploring the Moon Cave. And we do have a Valvalis as the second boss where Rubicante used to be.
Okay, so we were mistaken earlier. The Fusoya is not coming in with full power. In fact, I'm seeing now that flag has been categorized under Restore Vanilla Behaviors and is not checked off. So it makes sense that Dr. Cossack was going for Mist Cave boss. Not only on the D-Mist hunt, but also to power up Fusoya a little bit. That's a nice, easy boss check.
Absolutely.
But as we know now, D-Mist is in the tower.
Yeah. Nice thing is, though, is hopefully getting that warp for him, which is going to be the big problem if we're missing out on that spell. As we have Flurry finding his own Fusoya, so not sure what spells he starts with or where he's learning which spells, but the good news is if we can get that warp, or if we can get that exit, it'll save them from having a little bit of menuing.
I'm really curious to see what's on the D-Miss check. And Flurry picking up that Fusoya.
Getting rid of those white mages for it.
I suppose that makes sense. Fusoya has his own white magic to deal with.
Lore Master finishing up one of the trap chests and the moon, just getting some Artemis arrows for his troubles. And as I mentioned in the chat right now, I think the spot that they think, and I kind of think as well, the spot Valvalis is in now is actually magic immune. So this may be a bit of an issue getting through this fight with the fact that Valvalis can just constantly spam that weak and ray spell just to slowly petrify your team, because that goes through wall.
Very interesting that Motas is opting for very early moon stuff. This is a bold play for Motas. This is really, really bold. Like, it's not that bold. It's not as bold as it seems because, very underleveled, but 8,000 HP across the board. Not really in a ton of danger, I wouldn't say. But I still really like it, going to the moon before doing the hook, just because you can. It is a lot of checks. A lot of checks. Like, there are 10 trap chests in the moon on total, plus the one in the giant. That's a ton of possibilities for key items.
Indeed, and not only that, but also 4 items themselves, because if you look at it, Valvalis is giving Mechalink one heck of a lot of trouble, still on that fight going on from that.
Oh goodness, you're right.
I'm honestly not even sure what he's doing, other than giving Bacchus wine to that to his Edward, who's only doing about 140 damage with his arrow. Yeah, quick reset out there, 100%. So that's one of those, we'll come back there and deal with you later one. Unfortunately, Valvalis being one of the really weird things, one of the strongest bosses in general, if you don't have that cane in some slots, the Rubicante fight, like any of the vanilla element fights aside from the Mylon selection, is where Valvalis will be an absolute pain to pretty much anybody who's using magic, or even physical attacks, because she's very invasive, both physical and magically, in most standard boss spots.
Yeah, very well put. That's that Valvalis fight. Oh, that hook right at the start of the scene, that's a troll. That is such a troll. We get our hook right away. It's like, oh yeah, we can go down underground as soon as we find apples. Like, no, you're just gonna get walled by Valvalis because the only things you have available to you are a bard and 2 mages.
Absolutely. The big thing is like, oh, you think I've got my apples, I've got my fire bombs and my lit bolts, we can just go and smack Valvalis around, and then she just kind of looks at you and says, I'm sorry, you've come to the wrong spot, friend, and tells you no.
Yeah, Edward shooting arrows at her. She's like, oh, what was that? Was that like a fly landing on my arm? Get out of here.
Yeah, and actually looking at a list that Inven actually had just uploaded today, in the Rubicante slot, this is, while spinning, that is a very nope magic spot. This is where you're going to want to be punching this person in the Rubicante slot, so if they can get some more some levels, and as mentioned in the chat, as well as maybe some rods and some more bows and arrows, they can absolutely eventually just sling it down, as Flurry is about to find out just how much of a pain that spot is going to be. So, future reference, you see Valvalis here, you don't have a cane, reset and come back when you get yourself some levels, guys.
We need a cane man, but there's no cane man.
No, that's next week. No, but this week is all about the kids and the old men. Right now, the underground is actually fully the area that you just don't even want to be. You don't have access to right now. It's as you said, is a deceit. We have the hook, but right now it's just not going to happen because this Valvalis is just walling so hard.
Quite an annoying mom bottom fight. We're having up top mount ordeals with Dr. Cossack. That is.
Yeah, and Flurry, rightfully so, just absolutely nopes out of that fight, hitting for about 450. Oh no, he might be going back in again. Yeah, he's going in again. Maybe going to readjust equipment or something. But absolutely, that fight is going to be a pain to slog through with his current armor and weapons.
Meanwhile, Motas smacking those dragons where it hurts. I really appreciate this play. Motas didn't even go to the hook to see like what that trolley bait was in the second boss slot. He didn't even go there. He's like, nah, I'm going to the moon. I'm doing this. I really appreciate this play.
Absolutely. We have a Water Hag as the second boss, as the back attack boss in Ordeals, and Flurry, as chat pointed out, I keep forgetting you can actually leave after the first boss. I'm still remembering the vanilla way where once you start that, you're kind of locked in there for those two bosses. At least getting that Mist Dragon kill, so there's a key item unlocked there. Also equipping up his Fusoya with some attack and seeing what he's got power-wise. Maybe gonna go see if he will give that a second shot down there. And it looks like, in fact, he is. Fortune favors the bold. Let's see if we can get someone underground and what's behind Valvalis. As well, Cossack finally finishing off the Water Hag, that nice long little cutscene. Time to go and see what boss and what key item we have hiding, if any, in Ordeal. As Lore Master actually resets out of a dragon fight. And Cossack picking up the dragon key at the top of Ordeals, followed by swiftly the Dark Elf fight. A couple of lit bolts, and it won't be long for this world.
You know, I haven't seen Cossack using many lit bolts. But it doesn't look like he has any HP-based items. That is quite interesting.
Apparently not. He might have found just the apples at Silvara, but then never found either the lit bolts or the firebomb. So that could be a big problem.
If I recall, he went to Fabul and got the AG apples because he didn't find the AU apples, and Fabul also had the lit bolts.
You are correct. I know that was Lore Master. I think that was Lore Master who actually found just the AG apples instead of the AU. But speaking of, he's also doing another delve down into the underground. Sorry, into the lunar. Looks like he's going to be checking some of those bosses where the vanilla ribbon and white spear are, as a quite possibility. Unless he's going to go be checking the one last trap chest there.
You know, I don't think Cossack has to worry too much about purchasing those lit bolts or fire bombs because his Fusoya just learned Quake.
Alright, we got the trap chest of the two red dragons. Lit bolt going to be taking them out real quick, it looks like. Hopefully finding out what's behind there. As they are hitting fairly hard though. 3-ish K on that bottom porn down there. But still with the other characters just slinging bolts. shouldn't be too long. And Cossack going up into Cave Evelyn, going to find himself the Legend Sword in there as well. Still, unfortunately, nothing. And interestingly enough, the Mist Dragon giving the package in Mist, so the mother of the dragon passing on the way to burn down her town.
I love when that happens.
It's a little bit of irony, and you gotta love when that happens. Looks like Flurry also going up to check the trap chest in Zot as well, because in all honesty, we are kind of running out of checks on the overworld. That Valvalis is absolutely stonewalling people as Lore Master finds yet another adamant armor in the lunar grotto. So we are just swimming in adamant all over this place. It's a shame that Cole hasn't at least gone to the overworld. He would have found more than enough to work sword.
Mm-hmm. Cossack is about to find that Stardust Rod, which is going to be very nice for his Fusoya that just learned Quake.
Indeed. Lore Master still just pounding away at these trap chests. Didn't quite see what he got from the last one. It was a Magna Key, as chat so kindly helps point out. So we have a lot of keys, another underground access, thankfully, that's not gated by Valvalis. However, it is up on the moon, which not a lot of people are making the play for at this time. And just a lightsaber for Modos's troubles on that trap chest. Nothing special, and Flurry hopefully finding us something nice. We have the Earth Crystal in the Tower of Zot, so that honestly saves a little bit of time in the niceness that if, hey, while you're here, here's another 2 bosses and another key item check, as well as 2 characters.
Earth Crystal in the Zot chest is one of those things like, oh, this is great, but also it makes me really mad.
Absolutely. It opening up the set of chests is not bad. And we have the CPU here. Again, not going to be... Normally, it could be a bit of a problem if you kill the attacker and defender before we get through. So we're going to see a couple of Globe 199. Maybe if turn comes around. Nah, just burned right down to the ground. Soya learning a couple of more cure spells. Still not getting any of the haven't seen him learn warp yet. Although Dr. Cossack does have it, so he will learn it through one of these many bosses. And Lore Master just getting a lunar for one of the chests. I'm not sure if that was dropped or not. There is a second Fu at the top of Tower of Zot. I'm gonna say it's Fu guarding another Fu, but that's just me.
Oh, is Motaz about to toss that Stardust Rod? Oh, that hurts.
Well, he doesn't have Fu, so...
He doesn't have Fu, but he also hasn't seen Fu. But you know what? He probably wouldn't take Fu at this point anyway. Except, it's if he doesn't find the crystal up here, he's going to have to go underground and find that Fusoya. And having tossed a Stardust Rod may not be that good, but you know what? Motas is good. He'll be fine.
It all depends on how this moonplay pays out for him.
Yeah.
He could find the crystal here, so he won't even need to care about the food. Just go right to Zeromus and have played off the long haul. Although we do have a Cagnazo in Tower of Zod as a second boss, so the fiends are just shuffling around. So that means we might find a Mylon somewhere still. That's the only one we're missing. He could be in Baron Castle behind the king.
Yeah, we saw one Melon at the top of Mount Hobbs, but we don't know where the other one is.
Couple of bolts puts down Cagnazo, learning, and that's where Flurry's learning the warp on his Fusoyas. So after a couple of bosses, he gets that nice and easy, as well as Cossack making that play up to the Zot as well.
See you later, Paynazo. I'm like rooting for this play that Motaz is making. I really hope that the moon pays off for him, but there isn't like that many places left to check on the moon.
I hope as well, but we do have the Twin Harp from Tower of Zot, so I really hope that Flurry goes and checks that. For the people, what's the song we have going on tonight? That's what you always have to ask. Two things we need to know. What's the song, and what job do we have today?
Ooh. If this Twin Harp ends up being the Darkness Crystal, like, the second time this week, I'm going to write a very strongly worded letter to the concept of RNG is going to be the recipient of my strongly worded letter. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
I mean, these are two different seeds rolled up by two different people, so you get to yell at the person who made this seed tonight, and then we get to say, hey, come on, you guys are in cahoots. It's just because we're running the same kind of flags doesn't mean we need the exact same similar seed.
You know, Scala, as a randomizer developer myself, I appreciate the concept of not blaming devs for RNG rolls.
Hey, it's never the dev's fault, it's your own terrible luck. That's how you gotta look at it.
Hell, it's everything else that happens that's my fault, like all the bugs in the
100%. But we do have Flurry going and checking the music, so we are gonna have that check tonight. And Lore Master finding an X-Cow in a chest on the moon. Looks like he is going as far down as he can under the subterranean, not finding anything yet though. So as much as this moon play has been a bold stance, doesn't seem to have paid off a whole heck of a lot aside from a lot of experience. So that means when he does go to find Vavalis, it might be a little bit easier to get through. Was correct. The Magna Key is about the only benefit, meaning that he won't even have to go through Vavalis. Might save a huge headache.
Yeah, that actually might really benefit him because we don't really have any answers for Vavalis in the seed so far. So, Motas going to the moon, you know, he had a... He could have found the crystal up here and gone straight to Zeromus and won the whole thing, but so far that hasn't happened, and instead he found the Magna Key. Which could still be his answer to getting ahead in this race.
Absolutely, and we do have Flurry fighting the Dark Elf, though very interested to see what kind of music is hidden behind him today. Nothing still. Lore Master fighting another one of those trap chests, absolutely just resetting out of the moon, and I 100% agree with that, just saying, nope, we are done out of that. And as mentioned in chat, I do remember that Motas did skip one of the chests, the Blue Dragon chest. He reset out of that one. So that one is still possibly in play and possibly does have the crystal that we're all looking for. And yeah, if we can have audio for Flurry. Here it is. A little bit of quietness just so we can hear what song we have. So we have Leviathan at the Twin Harp location, quickly put down so we don't get to hear much of the music. As Scala points out, it is music from Kingdom Hearts, Hikari from Kingdom Hearts, Max mentioned. And let's see, the tower key this time. So we don't have Crystal behind the Twin Harp twice, although it could be behind that tower key. So we could have music required twice in a row.
That is still a possibility. It looks like Motas is going to be the first of our 4 friends on the restream to get underground with that magma key.
That big wall behind Valvalis paying off a little bit for him. He's been doing a bit of the wilder checks, so as much as he is for the people and the music, he is for the checks that not a lot of people really seem to go for, or if they do, they go wild out there, and he's not even going for Dwarf Castle, the nice easy check. He's saying, nope, we're going right to that sealed cave. We're going all the way through here. Depending on what we've got, we may be checking through, getting the boss. No trap chests here, so it's just going to be a straight shot if there's no good key item. And he still doesn't know where D-Mist is, so he's going to check the boss. If D-Mist isn't there, as well as no crystal, I honestly expect a reset unless we see a pan behind the.
Yeah. And, oh, you know what? The trapdoors are a thing in here, too. And also because he hasn't seen Fusoya yet, so it's not like he can do the warp glitch from Dwarf Castle. That's right. I wonder if Motas is thinking that he's behind because of all the stuff that happened on the moon. I wonder if he's thinking that everybody else went down through the hook seed.
Most likely, because, again, the output to going to the moon, if it had paid off, he would have been leaps ahead. But with the fact that no one's gone up there and everyone went to see pretty much how Valvalis area was, Flurry and Mechalink did, and then not being paid off of that, they could also think that they're behind because they spent so much time wasting on the hook that we could see, they could be, oh, this wasted our time here. They could also be behind. So I honestly don't think any one of the runners feels they're in a great spot, because there's been a whole lot of time wasted between slamming your head against Valvalis, the dive in the moon not really paying off. Motas might feel that this is going to put him even further behind. Like, this is a very heads up play, but if he does not go, if he gets something from here, I think he's going to be very happy, because not a lot of people want to go through this, especially if he doesn't know if there's even a warper on this seed, because as we mentioned, he's only got Edward and the kids. However, if there is something good behind this and people warp back in behind Dwarf Castle, that's going to put it a little bit on even footing for everybody there.
That's very true. It's really painful having to go through Luca Cave and not being able to turn off the trapdoor checks. That's like adding insult to injury, where he just got off like a almost entirely fruitless moon dive with just a magma key for his troubles, possibly thinking that everyone else is already underground. But you know what? He's going for it. I respect that.
Absolutely. And the thing is we do still have a nice divergence of routes. We've got the fact that Motas is going underground. Kossik's going to be checking that Baron key. So we're going to have a nice, good, large bit of information given to us in the next couple of minutes between which different spots through. And yeah, as mentioned in chat, the only way Motas gets out of here is via save scumming. But behind that door, we have just a ribbon. I would be tempted to reset out at this point, but we still need to see what the boss is. We know, he just doesn't even care what the boss is, resets out. Nope, don't care if that's redeemed.
Oh yeah, well, he doesn't know this, but we know that's not D-Mist. But a bold move to not check the boss.
Absolutely. Hopefully that pays off for him, and this check down here, if he goes to Dwarf Castle next, which would be my next check. But no, looks like he's just going back to the overworld. And And it looks like he's also going for the Zot play. So a lot of people converging on Tower of Zot. Not a bad play. He is going to get that Fusoya and another Porum. So he may change up his party a little bit here. Not 100% sure. And it looks like the boss check we have at Baron was, in fact, the first one was the Gauntlet. So we have that gone through. The alt Gauntlet. Nothing really scary down in the Baron Underground.
You know, I find it very interesting that he opted to just leave the Underworld and do Tower of Zot without doing anything like checking the Land of Summons chest, seeing who the bosses are down there, doing Dwarf Castle, you know, any of that stuff.
Yeah, and as mentioned in chat, and I kind of agree, at this point you got to figure people are already underground. We started with a Hoax Seed. One of the boss behind wasn't even that scary. No one really thinks about Valvalis as being that big of a deal because a lot of people kind of put her down in most of the other places she's in. So he could think, okay, underground, people aren't going to be checking this, or they've already checked this. And if he's checked it and all he found was a ribbon behind the warp play, if someone else could have gotten that, then yeah, he could. I think mentally, Motos probably thinks he's the furthest behind when everyone's actually basically on even footing. Though he is going to get himself the Earth Crystal right here. He is going to finish off the Tower of Zot. At least he's going to have that benefit going for him for a little bit.
Yeah, you know what? That's actually a very good point. I didn't think about it from the metagaming aspect. He probably thinks everyone else is like all but cleared out the underground and nobody's finished yet. So maybe he's thinking, oh, you know what? I bet nobody did Tower of Zot, so I'm going to do Tower of Zot now and see if that's the play. That's yeah, that's a good point.
And again, as I've called it, looks like we have all of the fiends just reshuffling in places because there is a Mylon behind the king. Kagnazo has taken Mylon, or Kagnazo and Mylon switched some spots around. So we have the fiends, everyone change places.
They did the shuffle. They're playing musical chairs.
And we have Motos throwing a couple of lit bolts at the CPU and his defenders, while Mylon gets to eat a lit bolt and a couple of quakes. It's not going to be... These bosses aren't going to be long for the world. We are going to see what is behind Mylon, though. That is probably the most interesting bit of information we all kind of need here. The twins casting Flare for the kill. A little bit of nice thematic kill, but that's really about it. And for those of you who aren't aware, actually, the twin does not need Palom and Porum. It just needs any one of the pairing, as we find another Edward in Baron Castle. So if you have two Porums or two Palom, they both can use twin with each other. So that is something that not a lot of people think about when it comes to these kind of seeds. All right, with Motos finding himself a Fusoya, is he going to swap out one of his kids or one of his Edwards? We have one of the Porums leaving, and he's absolutely not going to take that other one. Wonder if he's a little sad that he sold that Stardust Rod now, but he's just going to shove apples down the old man's throat until he gets the 8K as well. And while Cossack's final item from Baron is just a defense sword. Unfortunately, that key a little bit of a rabbit hole, but hopefully we can see what goes on, where he's going to go next. Big options he has is the moon, and that's exactly where he's going to be headed. As Mecha Link, speaking of, warps out of Lunar while Flurry continues to clear. Looks like he is on the trap chest that had nothing but, I believe, arrows, while Mecha is going back into the moon to check another one of those paths towards one of those lunar bosses, most likely, or another trap chest.
I wonder if Flurry is going to do the one chest that Motos left behind, and we'll see what's in it.
I think this is the chest, actually, that he's on now. This is the chest that I believe only had arrows, if I remember correctly. We're going to find out in a few moments. While Motos finds himself the Kagnazo in Valvalis spot. Little does he know that he might be finding her later on if he decides to go back down into the underground that way. because we do know that there are, again, trap chests there, so he still has a check down there. So there is that option as well. No, to answer chat, Bahamut is not going to be something that people are going to go through because the summons are not in it. It is just the key items with themselves and with trap chests only and unsafe. So we don't have, none of the summons are going to be checked, so we're not going to check King, Queen Eblon. We're not going to have the Odin spot checked, and we're not going to have Bahamut checked. And Motos grabbing
Twin Harp.
Yep, Motos might be making that for a nice heads-up play because he could be getting a little bit of flashbacks from earlier this week, saying, "Okay, well, if Twin Harp's here, maybe that's where we gotta go. So we gotta figure what's going on, and we might get ourselves a reprieve of music." And it looks exactly like that's what's happening.
All right, we get to hear music again.
More Kingdom Hearts for the people. Only thing they still haven't done, he still hasn't done. We still have no idea what the part-time dwarf is. Oh, wrong Chocobo. That's the yellow, not the black one. So the big key item checks we have left, we still have a couple of trap chests in the bottom of Babel that we don't know. We still have the boss fight at Babel. We have the post tower key at Babel. As well as we have the trap chests in Sylph, Summon Monsters, and the Fey March chest itself. So we've still got about a half dozen chests left to check around, and we're still looking for the main key item we're obviously looking for is the crystal, but we still have the pan and the rat and the pink tails in play where we don't know. So we got 4 key items out of about what is it? Something about 12, 13 checks left. So 1 in 4 chance for it to be pretty much anywhere. And we have Dr. Cossack going into the Giant of Babel. Unfortunately, it's not going to be anything more than, I believe, a defense sword is what we had up here. I'm not sure. We're going to find out in about 2 seconds. But we do have our music going through with Lore Master right now. Going through to see what's coming up. Back to Link checking the hairdryer chest, finding nothing for his troubles. Maybe checking the rest of the moon. If anything else, no, he too is going to Babel. So we have a couple of runners converging on the Tower of Babel. With Last Arm eating himself a nice little flare after getting weakened. And then eating a nuke.
Flurry picking up a piece of crystal equipment. Not the crystal we're looking for, but, you know, it'll have to do.
And with Leviathan going down, we have that Hikari from Kingdom Hearts again going down. And I was mistaken, it was again the Luca key that comes from the Tower of Babel. But I don't believe Cossack, especially with having that food with Warp, is going to do anything near around with it. again, going through all those trap chests with the warp flag on is not something a lot of people are going to want to do. Getting the tower key, Lore Master might go back underground, trying to play catch up behind there. Again, underground is pretty much the only place we have left, aside from Sheila 1 is still an option as well.
Wait a sec, is Cossack about to do the bosses in Giant of Babel? He hasn't gone underground yet, has he?
He has not. The fact that he got, again, the tower key, and there is no key item behind these checks. These are just checks to unlock access to another character. So
yeah, he might be looking for Demist.
That is true. He has not found Demist. He's one of the few that have not gone fully underground. But we do have another one of the lunar bosses here. I'm going to say this is going to be Plague. D-lunars, but that's what the Starvale strats are for.
Oh yeah, D-lunar here is quite nice. That's if he had fire bombs, he could spam those because they don't reflect, they don't counter it with fires.
And we have Lore Master. He is definitely going up tower, seeing what is behind the boss behind the tower key, while Mechalink is throwing down that magma key that he got from the moon. We have Odin operating the cannons.
I would not put that guy in charge of any machinery.
Yeah, one spark and he's going to be out. Mechalink got a couple of places he wants to go between the Fey March, the Sealed Cave, and Luca Cave. Looks like he's finally settled on the Sylph Cave, so we are going to see what's behind one of those 7 trap chests in here. There's a lot of checks going on here, so this is a very good play. The fact that he has float is honestly going to make it a lot better. So far, just nothing but the Avenger, saving him a lot of HP and a lot of time menuing to have him heal, especially with that high HP to have. Lore Master Motas opting to not fight the boss at the top of Babel, which is another key item check. So there is that option he could have had.
Huh.
So this is bold. If he doesn't need the top boss from the lower level, that's going to be really smart by him. But obviously, we're not going to be sure until we find out.
Oh yeah, he must be thinking everyone's already done Top of Tower, but I bet nobody's done Twin Harp. That might be it. He might be thinking everybody else has already done everything in Tower of Zot except the tower key because it was behind the Twin Harp.
He gets a rat tail for his troubles, and yeah, as mentioned in chat, he didn't even check any of the chests. So he has the 2 trap chests, I believe, in the bottom half of Babel that could be giving him something. However, though, he is going to go right away and check that rat tail. In all honesty, being where he is now, an hour in, we have no finishers at the current moment. Yeah, he could think, okay, I'm behind. I've got to get this rat tail checked out. Just keep up.
This is such a fascinating scene. It's one of those things where like everybody thinks they're behind, but nobody's behind. This is really
Artemis bow for his troubles. Unfortunately, Motas not finding him anything of value.
He's thinking.
While we have a Fire 3 going off on the D-Lunars, still fighting them up in the Tower of Babel, as Flurry is getting off and landing on his big whale.
I gotta wonder what's going through Motas's mind right now because like Valvulus at second slot nobody could get through is probably not a thing that he's like really thinking happened to anybody else, and he's doing like all these esoteric checks now.
That's true. Yeah, now he's just like, okay, I've gone out of the way. I've gone and looked at all these checks. You know, let's go through some of the basic stuff. Mechalink doing one of the treasure trap chests, not getting anything for his troubles. I believe that was just Hecht Ring, which, as nice as that is, in an apple seed, not exactly something that necessary. Also, yeah, those D-Lunars with more HP than they know what to do with.
It's really too bad that Dr. Cossack didn't pick up those fire bombs, because they would be making quick work of these D-Lunars.
Yeah, instead having to go through and just heal and cure his way through this fight, and attacking with Edward with just a regular harvest. As mentioned in chat, media would do max damage, especially with them being frogged, but we don't. But gonna take a little bit to cast because it is one of the longer spells, but opting for Quake instead should still do a nice amount of damage, the 4K-ish mark. This is going to be a bit of a slog for Cossack, but that does give Motos time to keep checking things, as we have Flurry going and checking all the traps, the chests in Babel, so we'll know if Motos did there.
Also, yeah, Media will max damage them, but Media also takes like a ton of MP to cast. He might actually be better off just casting Quake.
Mm-hmm. And we have Mechalink, considering he only has fire bombs, I believe, going through to use nothing but the Stardust Rods and some flares to get his way through these souls. Just a black belt for the one for trap chest in Babel. So yeah, new territory check. Another boss fight coming in here, another monster fight here. So at least we have another check. As Mecha is continuing to check all the trap chests, hoping to maybe find that crystal, because again, that is the main thing that we haven't found. As mentioned in chat, someone dipping tower. We did have a quick toe dip into the bottom half of tower. But again, the chests were not checked. It is Flurry who's doing that for us. Hopefully, we can figure out what's going on, and if maybe it's behind the top boss. If it is, I know Motos is going to be a little salty about that. I would be, but Cossack is also spending a large amount of time behind these D-Lunars here.
I have a notepad file open with everything I want to ask all these players, because there's just so many interesting things happening in the seed tonight.
Absolutely. We have so many different paths people went. We have so many different checks that were happened. A lot of like what people would say were bold or heads up play, which honestly nothing really seems to have been like super paying off. It's basically it's always a scavenge for the crystal, but this is a true scavenger. Flurry going up and actually going to hit the top boss of the Tower of Babel, so we'll know who's back there. As Mechalink listens to the cutscene of frogs croaking and throws a bomb and has himself frog legs. No key item for his trouble that I saw though, but those are very green. So it looks like we still have Sheila 1 that we have to do, as mentioned in chat, as I mentioned. There's the other trap monster chest that we've got going on right here. And then we have the dolls operating the tower. That's not something you want to see. Nothing with a brain running that tower. And we have Cossack checking the top of the Giant of Babel, and we are going to see Bahamut there. So they're going to throw up. He's going to throw up those star veils and make very short.
Has anybody been to Land of Summons yet? I don't think anyone has.
Nope. Land of Summons is one of the other really free checks to go and see. Mechalink going to be getting us access to Sheila 1 as well. Is going to be very beneficial.
Yeah, I suppose the disadvantage of Land of Summons is that it's low density as opposed to Silk Cave, 7 Trap Chest, Tower Zot, 6 checks.
Yeah,
I suppose,
absolutely.
yeah, I guess that's why nobody's really gone there yet. Although it is like a minimal effort, low density check as opposed to like Dwarf Castle, which is a high effort, low density check.
Absolutely, yeah. Dwarf Castle is one of the undergrounds is like as nice as it is because it's quick and the bosses generally have lower HP there. There's a lot you just don't want to see there, so you're kind of like, no, leave it alone. As Flurry finds himself and Odin behind the one chest, didn't get anything behind the top boss. So Motos actually in a bit of an advantage for not having gone and done that check. And actually, we have found the one thing that Lit Bolt does not work on. It's not a boss. It is in fact one of the monsters. The Electrofish in that Baron gauntlet fight are going to absolutely wall those Lit Bolts. So this is why kids at home, make sure you get Lit Bolts and Fire Bombs whenever you see them. Never stick with 1 damage.
Very good advice. Very good advice. And then when you find Pale Dim, then you just hang up your controller and call it a day.
That's when you just berserk and say, enough rods will beat this down anyway.
I'm excited to see what character was here in the giant.
And it's another Edward just waiting.
So I'm curious, like, what Dr. Cossack's plan was here. What, like, he knew when he saw the Bahamut fight that it wasn't going to be demist. So what was he hoping to get out of completing the tower instead of just resetting out? I guess Bahamut's not a terribly slow fight, but you gotta do this cutscene and everything on top of that.
Absolutely, and Mecha looked like he was about to go into the land of some of the monsters, but again goes for Tower of Babel. And yeah, Chad is right. 100% the XPs which you're going for at that point. Hopefully, one of the shops underground. Again, another comment is kamikazes could be under there. Takes a little bit of extra time, but the quad 9 damage those kamikazes do versus about the 40 to 50k damage of the lit bolts. Nice little difference between the two. Caustic going back up to the moon to do yet another checkup here. Ono's first adventure into the moon to find out that he's going to have nothing but an Edward waiting for him on the throne. Yeah, the rat tail unfortunately being another bust as we're seeing just another Artemis bow. Not a bad item to have, but not great. The fact that you're not really going physical. Yeah, so with the checks that we know that we have left, the main ones are Summon Monsters, Dwarf Castle, and the Sheila Chain. What do we have? What do you think? Do we have the crystal behind?
Has anyone checked Sheila 1?
No, like that's what I said. That the Sheila Chain entirely has been unchecked.
Yeah, I was thinking between Land of Summons and Dwarf Castle. You know what? I bet it's on the Sheila Chain.
All right, for bonus points, Sheila 1 or Sheila 2?
I want to say Sheila 1 just for the obvious troll of, oh, you could have done this a while ago, but you didn't.
I kind of hope that it's Sheila 2, but my main thought, I actually think it's going to be in the Land of Summon Monsters, the free Fame Arch chest. And you hate to see it, but here is Evil Wall, one of the few ones that just straight up resists magic as well. I believe Lit Bolt gets past it, but it is never a Firebomb. Lit Bolt kind of just gets to tell Evil Wall, sorry, you're taking full damage anyways, and I don't care. Yeah, full damage right there. You can petrify us all you want. We have adamant armors. We resist everything you want to throw. Pair of Firebombs, and out it goes. We get a bold call in the chat at 10 at Warriors to Sheila 2 as a guess, and that is going to be a fun check if that's true. I honestly believe that it is going to be gated behind the other ones. Lord Modos finding just his defense sword behind Baron Castle. But it is still not a bad check to have gone through. just the Baron guards sitting behind the second fight. Nice, quick little firebomb should put these guys down. Absolutely, down they go. That Golbez fight vanillally, or just even depending on where he wants to hide, can be a bad thing. But we are going to see at least what the dwarf has the item, because we are very steadily running out of checks.
I guess Motas is going back for the trap chest that he didn't do earlier. Thinking that's the play that no one else has done.
Yeah, and Cossack doing a bit of a mistake here, checking the vanilla weapon, the vanilla fights for all the lunar bosses. They are not in the rotation. It is just the trap chests as well as the regular location.
Yeah, unless he's going for the experience, but you know, experience isn't something that you need terribly badly in a flag set like this where you have quad 9 HP on everybody.
And Flurry finding just the ribbon behind there. Don't believe that. It was behind the Luca key. Okay, so yeah, so there's nothing. So that means that it is either Sheila 1, Sheila 2, or Fey March check, or Fey March trap chest. We have 4 spots remaining. What it seems like.
What a ridiculous seed. I'm thoroughly enjoying this.
It's the fact that the bold plays that people say, okay, well, this is an apple seed. We have the ability to be bold, and as they say, fortune favors the bold. Unfortunately, not during this seed. This is why you always dot your I's and cross your T's, guys. Go for the basic checks, because sometimes they could be hiding nothing. They could be hiding exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, you know what? It seems like the crystal is just hiding in plain sight today.
And if it's behind Sheila 1, like you said, I think we're gonna have a little bit of a chuckle. It's gonna be a bittersweet chuckle, but I think everyone's gonna have a little bit of fun. And the first runner who finds it is going to be very, very bitter at this point.
You know what? Even if it's not Sheila 1, if it is anywhere leading from Land of Summons, I will feel exactly as snarky as if it was behind Sheila 1, because Land of Summons is like always the first thing I do when I go underground.
Exactly. You go underground, and whether or not you have the HP to go check the trap chest or not, or you have the items to check it, the first thing you do is you go to Land of Summons, because it's a free chest right there, whole bunch of treasure chests. It's a great place to loot, and then you don't know what you're looking for. Yeah, those key item checks on everyone's screens are getting nice and full. The only thing we're missing is knowing where the pink tail is, and knowing where the pan is. Those
and
two key items.
spoon as well.
On the spoon, you're correct. So we have,
which is something that everybody should want, because we're having like an Edward party day today.
Absolutely, but no one wants to have the spoony bard live up to his name, apparently. So Mechalink finally making the dive into the Land of Summon monsters, going to go and see what's happening. He hasn't checked Zot as well. He does find the pass in the chest, so we do have 2 passes on the field. That is something to note. One underground, and both of them technically in the underground, one in Evelyn Cave and one in Famar.
I think there's one on the moon as well, because Motas has a pass also.
That is also very true. Motas. Oh yeah, Motas hadn't made the hook drop yet. However, he is going to check. Here's the double check on Babel, though. He is going to go either check the trap chests, which he is doing. Yep, trap chest, and then the top boss. Mechalink has found the trap chest with the warriors, and what do we have? The pink tail only. Okay, so we do have the desire to go out and see what's going on underground, like fully in the Land of Summon monsters. This last check basically means this is where the pan is, right here.
Unless pan is on Sheila 1.
Spoon. So the pan is
pan
on
has
vanilla
to be Sheila 1.
And Sheila 2 has the Earth Crystal.
I'm so mad right now. I'm actually so mad.
I can't believe I called it. I feel a little bad. Commentator's curse for everybody involved. Link is just going out, running to that Sheila check, and he's going to be the first one going mode. Yeah, as mentioned, chat, you're correct. I misspoke. It is the regular crystal that she has hidden behind her pan. So it's going to be off to Sheila, smack Yang, and then back to Sheila and get that crystal. Link still has a couple of other checks to do since he didn't do Zot, and he didn't do Ordeals, which is what he's doing right now, it looks like, because that's going to get him, I believe, the Baron key was up there, if I remember correctly. Either way, he still has a couple of items that he's missing. He has no idea how close to go mode he actually is. Flurry is going to be right behind him because he is at most of the places. He's unlocking Sheila 1.
You know, nobody has finished the race yet.
Do we actually have no finishers yet?
We don't have any finishers.
Hour and 20-minute mark. I was thinking for a nice quick seed, considering, again, I saw apples, I saw lip bolts and fire bombs. This is
and then we saw the
rolliest apple seed I've ever seen, and this is what we need for a seed. This is what everyone needs. The Americans have had their Thanksgiving, get to be sitting down, eating maybe some leftovers, and we have a 17 of 17 or a 45 of 45. Either way, you all get to sit back and relax with us as we get to see a long ground out seed. But in all honesty, it's still very entertaining. Because of the simple fact that everyone's been checking different spots. There were some bold early plays. Guys, please, for our runners who we have going on here, for Crossack, Flurry, Motos, and Link, please give them a follow, because the amount of struggle that they've had behind this on this bus, they absolutely need all your love. And just to answer chat, we have 9 runners, so we have 5 who are not currently being reviewed. The crystal is early-ish, but again, it's a lot of people think, oh, on these seeds, no one's finished yet, so it's got to be one of those out-of-the-way plays. So now everyone's going for those deep checks, and no one's thinking of the quick early ones. And here comes the pan on Flurry's.
Vanilla pan. Oh, that's
time to go bonk us a monk.
I can't believe what I'm watching right now. This has been like one of the trolliest scenes I've seen in a while.
The fact that the hook was technically a completely dead key item because nobody could get behind Bob Alice might be my favorite part about tonight's seed.
How do you we have an apple seed here where your starting key item was the hook, and we're an hour and 20 minutes and nobody has finished yet because, whoops, sorry, the Valis and Tower of Zot.
Absolutely. And there's a simple fact that we also have just key items hidden behind where people normally would just go and check last, because it's like, okay, we'll check Sylph Cave at the same time we're checking these, and then we'll go check Sheila, because nobody wants to just go out of the way and check Sheila for no reason. Whereas look what happened, you don't check all of them. This is what happens when you don't check those. Like, maybe I'll just leave Sheila until it's more convenient. Unfortunately, she was the most convenient in this seed, as Motas is going to find himself some item, while Link is going to go smack around a Dark Elf.
And it looks like Flurry is going to be our first one into Zero Miss on our restream because he opted to go straight for exchanging the pan.
And as we saw, an adamant armored boot.
Never mind. No, he didn't. He went to the Land of Summons. He has other checks, but it definitely looked like he was going to go to Sheila 1. Oh, maybe he is. Oh my gosh. Wow, he just totally was about to dive Land of Summons and just said, nope.
Well, no, as chat mentioned, and I like that, he looks like he's going to be save scumming, so he's going to go check Sheila. Do you have the crystal? No. Then you're going to check behind and just go right into the right back to the land of summon monsters, so it's going to save him that overworld time. Smart play, but he's going to find out just how smart this play actually is by checking Sheila.
Yes, that's right. That does mean that he is not going to have a spoon, so... Well, I think
he... for all. Yeah. And there is finally the crystal behind Sheila 2. After a long time, he is our first runner on our meat race stream that is showing go mode, and he is running out of that castle.
He is running as fast as Fusoya's tiny legs will carry him.
He also is one of the two without a pass, so he is going to have to run all the way through the entirety of the underground. But in all honesty, at this point, there's no reason not to. Although, where is he going?
It might just be stocking up.
Yeah, it's the final restock before Ramos. The kamikazes in Toria. Yep, absolutely. Are we gonna have a job check too? No. No job check. So, Flurry, not the man of the people. Not gonna tell us what our part-time dwarf is today.
Well, I mean, today's a statutory, well, not statutory, but a lot of people in the USA have today off of work. So I guess, the dwarf also has the day off. We don't have to ask him what he does.
Look, the dwarf could be like me. He could be Canadian. You gotta
hey, I have to go to work today too. I am a Torontonian myself.
Hey, man. Regardless, so we do have him rearranging some spells, rearranging his party, as we have Mechalink grabbing the food from underground and going and fighting those Baron guards. He does have a pass. He's just doing the last bit of menuing, and looks like he's going to be finally headed up to Zeromos. Cossack eating a few storms from that behemoth from a trap chest, while we have Motas just continuing to do some menuing and checking out the Self Cave.
So, Dathis, I believe very soon we're going to have an important question to ask.
We are, but it's going to take us a minute as Flurry has to do the Walk of Shame. He does not have the pass. However, that's just going to give time for the people. You know what time it is. We need those flags, though. Give the hype. It's the long path, so you got time to fly those flags as long as we've got.
You have time to get your guesses in for whose butt we are kicking tonight.
Chad actually bringing up a good point. Going to Feymarch costing him a little bit, but also him not fully diving the hook costing him a little bit as well. It's a walk of shame, as also being said, but in the same token, it is also a walk he can do very proudly, because he's the only one who has checked Sheila 1 and found that pan and gone through that chain. So as much of shame as it is a walk of the pan.
Yeah, that's a good point. He didn't go land a summons. Not only is he missing a pass, he's also missing the spoon.
And then you didn't check the job dwarf. Man, this is just such an invalidated run.
It's we're at like an hour and 30 into an apple seed. Nothing about this entire run is just a fever dream. This is what happens like when America's in a food coma.
See, this is what I asked for on the last. You can actually go and talk to Rex Rawls. I was mentioning it to him. I'm like, I want the cruelest apple seed you can get, and this is a gift to me, where we get to see 17. Technically, we've seen all 17 key items. Nobody's gone 17 of 17 yet, but we have 17 key items all seen. 90% of the bosses checked aside from the Bahamut fight location. And yeah, I was really going to agree with Chad and Trenton, our tracker. Bless you again for the last minute step up. As you mentioned, a little bit of a slow start for us, which we do apologize for. I honestly called it. I said to some people like it's gonna be a solid like maybe hour seed, and then that's it. Nope, hour and a half, and we're still just finally getting to Zerus. All right, we have Crossack finding Plague in one of the lunar spots.
Yeah, he's been fighting the lunar bosses. I think he doesn't remember that they are not key item checks.
Yeah, I did actually. You're right. I mentioned that even earlier that he did the first one, the Pale Dim spot where the vanilla crystal sword is. He's been doing all those checks, whereas Flurry is going through the crystal floor as Motos is heading out from the Silk Cave and into the land of summon monsters. And Motos finding his second pass.
All right, so I think it's about time to be asking that question.
And that question we are going to ask is, whose butt are we kicking tonight? Fly those flags. Let's see. Get your guesses in. We've got a couple turkey miss question hopes, but we are going to find out real quick.
As always, my vote goes to Bickmas.
Dickness. All right. I have no idea what's in this pool. I've seen so many of these. Skull does have a good point. We did have the Kingdom Hearts song. Kingdom Hearts boss would be a nice little touch on top of, or actually even a Disney boss would be a little bit on theme. But we have the true colors emerging, and we are ready to kamikaze our way to victory. You cannot grasp Zeromus' true form.
Oh my goodness. Last time I saw this guy was when I did an Earthbound run at Smash the Record, which is coincidentally the last time I ever ran Earthbound as a speedrun.
Yeah, Earthbound, one of my top 3 RPGs of all time. Probably one of the second or third one I ever really played. Absolutely great cult classic. And again, the sprite's done by Shallow Kitty. Fantastic job. Great sprite. We do have the one dead Edward.
I should show you some time. I have a Mr. Saturn plushie that's 45 centimeters tall.
That's amazing. Alright, so we have Cossack going through, finding Dark Knight Cecil at, I believe that was Vanilla Plague spot, but just gonna eat those 3 Dark Waves really easy, while Flurry goes through Suicide Life and Star Veils, just to get him through the damage in those big bang.
We're having a little kamikaze party over here.
Interestingly enough, this was actually what we discussed last time. Kamikaze can get through that HP reset if you get through properly. We do have the reflex strats going through the Fusoyas, so they are reflect nuking themselves. While we actually only had the 3 Kamikaze, so it looks like it is just straight up reflex strats, which is not a bad thing. Because again, that actually does just straight up negate the HP refill, so that's something we won't have to worry about. And while Flurry is going through in his reflex strat, we have Mechalink finally going through the Tower of Zot, checking everywhere he possibly can, while Motos is going through the reset on Antlion at Octomom fight. And it looks like we have Pale Dim at the ribbon fight, so we do have a lunar boss in somewhat of its regular spot.
Oh, that Parm is taking a nuke. That's alright. She's got quad 9. She can handle it.
Quad 9s and adamant armor. There is nothing that this team can't handle.
Yeah. We still don't have any finishers, so Flurry could take it.
It's true. And to answer chat, no, the only person who has checked Sheila has been Flurry so far. No one else has checked Sheila, and no one's thought to go do a quick little bonk afterwards.
I am really looking forward to the interviews tonight. That's going to be exciting.
Absolutely. Just to get the thought process behind some of these people's like, hey, I wanted to go down this way, or what brought them into go this. But yeah, it's also the time on this. It's an apple seed, so people are like, hey, this is got to be nice and quick. And then the fact that we're an hour longer than almost an hour than what Monday's seed was, and we're still not finding ourselves a finisher as close as Flurry is gotta be draining on them a little bit, because you gotta start thinking like, have I missed something? Was there a chest that I missed? What's going on? I mean, is there something outrageous? Like Motos is checking the bosses on Babel. It's just everyone's thinking like, oh, did I miss this part of the flag? Like, this could now be the part where people are thinking, oh, is it actually Lunar's on? Which we know that they're not.
Yeah, Motos must be looking for Demas, because if we recall, he never dove the hook.
That is very true. That is that option still as well. As we have Flurry just continuing the nuke strats, straight up nuke to minimize the next big bang, while Porum sets up. Oh, nope, that is the flash.
There it is.
And that is our first place winner, Flurry, with an official time of 136.13.
136.13 for an apple seed. This is like an unprecedented happening tonight.
Yeah, let's see if we can't get him in for an interview, because, like you said, I need to know what's going on, what was with this seed. This is fantastic. GG's to him, though. 100% being our first place finisher after the hour and 30 mark.
Yeah, I want to get...
I said in chat, rotten apples, and I absolutely agree.
Do I have the authority to drag him in here? I do.
Good. Fantastic. And we are joined by Flurry. Flurry, GG's on your first place finish.
Thank you. I'm actually rather surprised given the amount of content I cleared that I managed to come in first, but you know, that's awesome.
So this was quite a seed. What did you think about this seed?
So, I mean, the main pain point in this seed is Val. Like, that was the problem. I kind of thought going in that Elven Bow, Artemis arrows with an adamant armor would give him enough hit to actually do the damage that it wouldn't take half an hour. And when I reset, I was like, all right, well, maybe I need one of the middle slot and have Fu arm some arrows too. And that didn't work. So I was like, all right, peace out. I mean, I still have, fully apple-seeded characters. I know there's a second Fu out there somewhere, so I can just hit up the moon. And I was really concerned after like the first 5 or 6 chests on the moon, thinking, all right, nothing's here. It is K-Trap, right? And finally got the Magna Key, which is like nice, but it's almost kind of a consolation prize, because at that point in time I had so many levels that I don't think Val would have been that much of a problem anyway. I'll have to go back and see. And then the only other key item was the Luca key, which you can get through the warp glitch anyway. So I was like, all right, well, at least I'm underground. Let's try to get, leverage off all the other stuff that people might not have done. So tried the Zot chain. That didn't work. Tower was nothing. Sylph Cave had nothing. And I'm like, well, here we go. And then Sheila one ended up having it, and then I botched the Zeramus fight refill skip, and like, well, here we go. This is how you lose by 17 seconds, but no, it worked out. So Val is basically that seed. If almost any other boss, and the rest of the seed is pretty academic, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So, what was your main thought after you saw the stone wall of Valvalis? Like, where was your next thought? It's like, okay, I'm not getting underground this way. Where do I go next? Like, you had, I believe, just the darkness crystal at the time. So, where was your next thought process going?
It was going to be Moon. It was absolutely going to be Moon. I felt like if I didn't have the darkness crystal, then I probably would have did Ordeals and Zot just to find out and check the Mist Dragon just in case, because I mean, I don't know if any of the other runners actually sat through that Val fight with arrows, but I can't imagine that took any less than 10 to 15 minutes.
No, everyone on the restream that we saw just saw Val did the fight. They were like, you know what? Nah, they pieced out a little faster than you. Like you gave it a second college try, which props to you. No one saw Val do the first little bit, and like, no, we're done. As I mentioned during the time, Val actually has like complete magic immunity at that slot, basically. So she is like, you beat her down or nothing happened.
Yeah, and I don't know where the spoon ended up being.
Land of Summon Monsters.
What's that?
The Land of Summon Monsters.
Okay, so
the free chest.
That's not a helpful location, because that was probably the other item. There was an Artie bow. I think that would have helped a little bit, but I think the Artie bow was on the moon anyway. It's a good thing we had the darkness crystal where we did, because if we didn't, that would have been a problem. But otherwise, yeah, like finding Artemis arrows, like made the only other moon fight I was concerned about, which was Bimmy and Jimmy. So I know the blue dragon doesn't really care about your element attacks, but with Artemis arrows and adamant armor, I don't really care about anything he does. So there you go.
Pretty much. So when it came down to the last after the first hour mark, and you were seeing A, no finishers, and B, you still hadn't found the crystal. What were you starting to think about? Like, were you starting to think maybe I missed a chest, or did I get the flags right, or what was your thought process at that point?
I was pretty confident on having the chest there. My biggest concern was that I faded, or I did not do ordeals, and given that everybody's probably going to see Val and say peace out, they're probably going to check ordeals before Moon. But after about an hour, if that had the crystal, you'd have been done with the seed in about 25-30 minutes. So when I'm going through the tower and not finding anything there and sitting at about the hour mark, I was actually feeling pretty good in that the crystal was going to be in some weird location. The problem was I felt like I had checked all the weird locations and ended up being Sheila 1. So I think having experience in doing apple seeds pretty efficiently was pretty advantageous, because I figured if I did go Moon, I probably cleared it first, and I probably had a pretty good content lead over everybody else.
So what was your another question, because we had I had a good chuckle about this personally. When you were going up Tower of Zot and you found the Earth Crystal there, was that nice little, well, while I'm here, thank you for the gift, or what was that thought?
It's nice, but it's more often than not nice, because that's only going to pay off if that leads to the crystal. Otherwise, I can just save scum out of it and save a bunch of time. Instead, because it had the Earth Crystal and then it led to something else, I think that was Tower Key, if I remember right.
Yes.
I had to, after that, I was like, all right, well, first thing on Earth, I have to go to the tower after the moon, because I need that to pay off. So I actually feel like that, in that particular scenario, that's more of a penalty than it is something that helps you out, because it's more likely going to be a chain that it's not going to pay off, and if it does, it costs you a lot of time, as opposed to saying, oh, it's a glass helmet, I can reset out and I'm done.
Very interesting. I was actually going to ask, I think you were the first person on the restream to check Taro's Lot. What was it that made you decide to check it as early as you did, as opposed to, like, I guess, going directly to the moon or something like that?
Mostly because I thought I could save some out of it.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense.
That was going to be the thing, was that if it's one of the first two, chests, that's like a 50-second to a minute and a half check. It's not that bad. Because it had the earth crystal at that point, you're compelled to kind of fill it out. And I was like, well, all right, this is going to be a little bit more time expensive. And choosing to not do ordeals was probably the big risk there, because I feel like I'm pretty sure most of the other people on the restream did ordeals before going to the moon. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people did ordeals.
Actually, I think you were being correct. I think one person did ordeals before the moon. But yeah, ordeals was actually kind of like left to the wayside for the most part. Like a lot of the places where I would consider common check were ones that that people kind of like left alone. And again, it's what happened like again with the Sheila check, it being hidden all behind there.
Okay, well yeah, that's pretty surprising, because I mean, with the firebomb, with the fang, the HPs and the fangs, that's not too time consuming. And if it doesn't have a key item, which it might have, because I didn't get Baron Key, so it might have been there. But if it didn't have a key item, that's not too expensive to check, and that one was kind of on my mind. I wasn't worried so much about the Feymarch free chest per se, but that one was concerning for sure. And I guess personal experience, I've seen Zot pay off on a trap chest quite a bit. maybe I'm just a little biased there. And I tend to overdo ordeals in every other seed, so skipping it just seemed like the thing to do, I guess.
All right, well, GG's on your first place finish, my friend. Good job, even though you pretty much exhausted almost everywhere on the over and underworld. You missing 4 key items in the end, or sorry, 4 key items in the end. Well done, your first place finish.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate you guys taking the time to do commentary and restream and tracking and all that. And hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Pleasure. Before you go, though, just one last question. Do you have any other comments you want to say about the seed flags, or this specific seed in general?
Yeah, this was I actually feel like this was a pretty good seed, because a lot of times you get apple seeds that are just like, well, every boss fight is going to take you 30 seconds. There's no pain points at all. It's just, did you guess the right location? And having a hook seed Val actually made things interesting. So I was pretty happy with the seed, even if I ended up like clearing 95% of it.
All right, again, GG's to you, my friend, and good luck in the next race we see you on.
All right, thank you very much. You guys have a good one.
You too.
All right, that was LGQ Flurry 14. Thank you again for joining us with that interview. While we were interviewing him, Dragus, someone who's not on a restream, finished second at the 1 hour, 45 minute, and 52 second mark. GG's to him, about 9 minutes behind. And we have.
I was probably going to say the same thing you were, just that Motos just had a zero miss transform into Gygus. So hopefully we'll be having a third place finisher coming up real soon.
Absolutely, whether it's him or one of our other non-featured streamers. Mecha is also going through that Sheila check, so he's going to be on his way up there as well. While Cossack is checking the Dwarf Castle, we both know, as well as some of the runners know, that this is not a check that's going to go to anything. But he's going through and just checking every last spot now, just scouring that underworld.
This has been, wow, this is a really, really interesting seed.
Indeed, and also just goes to show you, like, there could have been people who've done these seeds a million times, or like, okay, I've done this, I've done these seeds, I know what it's like. Every seed's going to be a little bit different, and having like Flurry said, the hook seed into the Valvalos troll wall, that's just something you can't really account for, right? And even then, the Sheila hiding the crystal, no one really likes going through Sheila, but this is what happens when you go and say hi to her. We have Mecha going through the final apples, just feeding his people. Looks like he is getting ready for Zeronos because he got himself his own crystal, so he is ready for that fight.
Motas is making quick work of Zeronos, it seems like.
Yeah, slow but steady with those lit bolts, not doing either reflex or the kamikazes. I don't believe he went to Troya, so he does. Tomra, so he doesn't have access to the kamikazes that Flurry does.
Mm-hmm.
And Cossack just finding the Bahamut behind the dwarf. He's going to be doing the warp to find out that there's just a ribbon behind that. So another check in the underground for him gone by the wayside. I believe he's done the Sylph Cave checks. So that does leave him to land to summon monsters, as well as the access to Sheila, though.
And just some final prep work from Mechalink.
Getting that agility anchor in place, giving him the crystal ring as he heads off to hand in his pass and say, "Take me right on in there."
Now, interestingly, when Dr. Cossack eventually does the Sheila check, he does not have a pass, although it looks like maybe he's about to get one.
Absolutely. Finally going through those checks in the Fey March. He's going to find a pass on the next chest he's going to check, as Mechalink is taking that pass all the way to the moon and going to have himself a little bit of a Gygas fight as well.
And there's his pass. Very nice.
Yep, when he finally goes and checks Sheila, it's going to be a nice quick run up like everyone else has done, upwards to the overworld, while he's currently going through the chests to just slam those elixirs and heal up after the damage caused by those floors.
Very interesting that the one guy who did not find a pass ended up finishing in first place by almost 10 minutes.
I mean, again, it's a little bit of foresight. Flurry also not having fully dove a couple of other spots, as we know, thankfully. The hindsight that we have, we knew were not to go on 2-go. He going and checking that pan basically almost as soon as he got it, being a huge payoff for him, which could have bit him if he hadn't checked through where the Baron key was or where that Luca key was. Having not gotten either of them, that means that the giant of battle could have completely stonewalled him. And thankfully he got lucky and there was nothing there, as Cossack finds his pink tail and throws away those Leviathans for it.
Ooh, and Motas in medial phase is about to be finished very, very soon.
Nice, as we see a Spoony Bard living up to his name and smacking around the Zeronos. The one thing I ask for every seed: if we have a spoon and we get the flash, we get a dead Zeronos through the Spoony Bard. And speaking of, with his third place official time of 1:53.28, we are joined by Motas. Motas, GG's to you, my friend.
GG's.
Oh, well, thank you.
All right, so you were one of the few that were doing. You were the one who was doing the most outrageous checks in the beginning. What was your thought process when you just jumped right to the moon and started going and diving that like right away? You were in fact the first person to take the moon and not go through the hook seed, through the hook itself, and not finding. Actually, we'll give you that little bit of spoiler. There's a Valvalis blocking there, and that's where Demas was hiding. And that was in fact a bad time. Not one of the
Oh my goodness!
Past Valvalis, because that is one of the spots, as I mentioned on stream, that she is immune to magic and no one had any physical damage.
So that's what trolled me then, because I went straight up to the moon thinking, I'll do this. I knew I probably couldn't take the double dragon chest, but I thought, I'll do this. I know everybody else is going to go underground, so I'm going to go to the moon. So if it is moon, I'm going to win. And if it's not moon, I'm fine. And then when I got done with moon and nobody was done yet, I was like, well, it can't be any of the easy checks underground. So I started going around checking the giant. I was checking trap chests all over the place. I went back up to the moon to check the trap chest that I missed. And then all that time, it was Sheila. And I thought I was metagaming too hard. I thought, well, there's no way nobody checked Sheila yet. But it turns out they were all stuck on the hook route, which I didn't take because I had magma key from the moon.
Yeah, that was the big thing that we saw at two of the other runners, Flurry and Mechalink. They actually banged their head against Valvalis for a little bit, thinking, oh, can we get past this? Nope. The D-Mist was the first boss where King and Queen Evelyn was, rewarded them with just a package when they went to check that. So nothing really of consequence. What was your thought after fully clearing the moon and then diving the little bit of Tower of Babel? We saw you went and redove it. What was your thought after going through Babel and then not finding anything?
Well, yeah, I just kept doing stuff that I didn't think everybody else was doing. So I did the whole chain with, I did Zot with no Earth Crystal, but it turns out it was up there. I did that. I followed the whole chain through to get nothing from like 5 different places. And then I was like, well, it's got to be Miss Dragon then. And I didn't know that Miss Dragon was in Upper Babel. So I'm now like, do I have to go back to the moon and check all those boss spots? But then Flurry got done, and I was like, so did Flurry find Miss Dragon somewhere easy, or what's going on here? I was like so confused. It's the longest Appleseed I've ever played.
Oh, absolutely. This was actually a ridiculous scene to watch. And I thought that your plays were probably the most interesting on the restream, because you are the only person that did not that went straight to the moon. I think everybody attempted to do hook. Maybe Dr. Cossack didn't, but I know that a lot of the racers attempted hook and just noped out of there. Whereas you just hopped like straight up to the moon, and I thought that was super cool. I was like, oh my gosh, if he finds Crystal up here, this man is smooth sailing. And then it ended up not being up there, and we kind of saw you doing all these really esoteric checks and looking for D-Mist when we knew like what was happening in Upper Babel, and it was just like really kind of cool to see your thought process play out like that.
Well, and I guess once I knew that it wasn't on moon, I was like, okay, I'm just going to check all the spots that no one's been. At least we'll give the viewers you can see everything, because I know between me, the only spot I didn't see was Dwarf Castle, so.
Which the only thing behind there was the Bahamut summon, and then they warped out for the ribbon, which you unfortunately didn't find your Fusoya till later because you didn't dive that hook. He was actually the character behind the hook, was Fusoya right there. So you did kind of miss out on that a little bit. Aside from that, yeah, you between you and I believe Flurry, the two of you gave us the most information we possibly had up until about the 40-ish minute mark. We were still kind of like, okay, we were taking bets because it was just wondering where's the items. It's like, what's happening? Where could this possibly be? And we started counting down the checks, and then it was like, okay, well, it's either when we started seeing the Sylph Cave check, like, okay, this is where it's got to be. This is where like half the checks remaining were, and it not being there. Technically, it was, if you want to count Yang there, was kind of entertaining. So again, GG's for you getting through there with your third place finish. Thank you for showing off like 90% of the checks right off the hop. to help spread out, because again, you took probably the most interesting route by comparison to the other players. What was probably the one fear of where you think the crystal was like before people were finishing? Like no one's finishing around the hour mark, the hour 20-minute mark. What was at that point? What was going through your head?
Yeah, I mean, once I did the big chain that started with Zot, I was afraid that it was in Trap Treasure Chest in Lower Babel that I skipped, because I was 100% sure that I was on the route. I was like, this has got to be it. If it was the trap chest, somebody would have gotten it already. So I skipped all the trap chests in Lower Babel, thinking it's got to be the tower key. But then I was like, oh, but if it's not, I just skipped. You know, if I had just gone the regular route that I usually go, I guess I probably wouldn't have finished it an hour earlier, because I would have got stuck at Valvalis like everybody else. But if I'd come straight down to Earth from the moon and gone straight to Sheila, it could have been an hour, maybe.
Indeed. Also, another question. When you did go up to Tower of Babel, this is something that I was really curious about. You had the tower key. Why didn't you just go and check, like after checking the tower key, would have taken you a little bit extra. Why not go up and finish the fight the boss at the top instead of just noping right back down to the bottom?
Well, because I was just metagaming too hard. At that point, it was so late that I thought if it was tower boss, that somebody would have done Keyless Tower and gotten it already.
All right. Well, again, do you have any final thoughts for us for this seed? Any about this seed, about this specific run?
Oh my goodness, it was a frustrating seed, but also really fun. Thanks you everybody for watching, and you two for doing the commentary. And I think we had a fill-in tracker, right? I think that was a thing. So thank you everybody tonight, and Smatey on the restream, of course.
Yeah, it was actually supposed to be me who's tracking, but then one of our commentators was missing, so I did commentating, and then we had somebody fill in for me as a tracker. It was a bit of a shuffle tonight.
Yeah, we had Trenton doing our tracking, which again, thank him very much for jumping at the very last second. 100% appreciate. Moltos, again, thank you for streaming, for showing us off, and showing off the very esoteric, different approach for going through the different boss runs.
It's my pleasure. Thanks again, everybody.
Thank you.
And we're also joined by Mecha, who finished with a time of 1:55.35. That's only like that's only 2 minutes behind Motos. Very, very close together. GG's, Mecha.
GG's. I checked everything but the demist that I knew where the position was, so this was a full clear for me. This was a true full clear.
Yeah, the only thing you're missing, as we see, is the pigtail, and you actually turning in that demist for the package. But yeah, basically a full clear.
No, this was a legitimate full clear. Like at the end, I know where everything is. So yeah.
All right. So as we were asking other people, what was your thought when you saw Valvalis sitting in that spot, basically getting walling you 100% from the lit bolt firebomb strat?
Right, so exactly. So initially I was like, well, let's see what my damage is like. Right, like, because I have moon veils, right? Like, and then I saw 139. I'm like, okay, like this isn't happening. And so then it was like, okay, well, now I have to start scouring the overworld for another way, or I need to level up somehow, which would be terrible, right? So we're looking for darkness or magma, or hopefully getting enough levels where we can actually make some damage happen. Because we knew where all the characters were at that point, right? So then it was a matter of doing that, and then the second I found darkness, I was like, okay, we've got a line. Some interesting minor things that ended up happening. I ended up doing the ordeals because I wanted to get warp and save myself Luca key check. Like that was one thing that kind of was interesting, and then otherwise it was all like as I like to do, it was all pure numbers. And then once I've knocked out all of the checks, it was just like, okay, like we're doing singles.
Yeah, at that point, a lot of people started, as we were showing around, we had a lot of people just going through the repeated, like, okay, where is it now? Where is it now? Diving up the moon, coming down. And it was actually kind of interesting, the fact that it was the moon that gave the magma key that actually gave underground access when we started with the hook seed. What was that thought process when you saw the magma key and you're like, and you realize that's how you're getting underground, not through Valvalis, like the first key item you got?
Oh, I mean, it made me sad that I did not save after demist, is what it made me. Because if it ended up being demist, then, right, like I had a bit of a walk to make. And I mean, if it wasn't at Zot, if Zot didn't pay off, that was my next check, right? Like, was for sure going back and checking demist because there just wasn't much left. It just didn't happen that way. So yeah, there was a bit of a sweat that it was in fact demist. Like that somehow nobody in the world had saved after demist.
Yeah, we had, I believe, one person check after that. Demist had the package, which is kind of entertaining. I pointed out, as like, hey, Demist wants to burn her own town down.
Yeah, it's always suspicious when that happens.
Absolutely. So overall, what were your main thoughts about this specific apple seed, or this seed in general?
I like this seed set. I don't necessarily like it as an apple seed, although as an apple seed it's fine. I really like these kind of high number of check seeds. It was interesting that we had the Forge the Crystal items almost immediately, essentially. I had the Legend Sword and the Adamant by like 30 minutes. So that was funny. Yeah, no, I really like these kinds of seeds. I really like this apple seed strat that I ran on Monday and today. They essentially like get 2 people up above 5,000, and actually from Monday I learned about the fact that I really want somebody to be able to crack the 3,000 barrier by the time you get underground, because there's a bunch of stuff that just like is a shade over the 250, the 2,500 rather. Mm-hmm. And so you saw in Sylph Cave where on Monday it might have taken me 2 fire bombs. Today it only took me 1, where like, so minor optimizations that you learn from doing apple seeds, which aren't that common in a set. So that part was interesting too. But yeah, I just really love these massive checks by the numbers, even though it seems like it's never by the numbers. Neither one this week was.
Not at all.
But it's fun nonetheless. We had Edward seeds both times this week. We had no mages on Monday, and we had all mages today. Yeah.
All right, again, thank you very much, Mecca, for the run. Good job, and again, thank you for streaming for us. We do appreciate it. And GG's, and have yourself a great night.
Yeah, thank you for your coverage.
Again, that was Mecca, one of our restreamers, coming in with his time and his finish. We had a couple of other finishers happening during that. As you saw, we also had the one forfeit of one of our restreamers. We've had a total of 7. So we have 8 of the people have finished. We had, again, Lore Master with 153.28, Sci Fantasy at 4th with 153.59, Rumblefish at 155.02, Mecca with his time at 155.35, so about a 30-second difference there. Neon Gray 7th with 159.14. So again, I want to thank all the runners that we had tonight. Again, Mecha Link, LQ Fury, Crossack, and Motos. Please give them a follow. Fantastic runners, great guys, as you've heard. As well as we had the restreamer staff here, myself, Dathis, Pidge01, my co-commentator, absolute pleasure. Trenton, last second stand-in for tracking, with Pidge0 jumping in, helping me, and Snappity, him on the restream. Again, thank you guys all very much. Absolutely fantastic working with you guys tonight. And GG for with us as well.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you to all of our staff and to all of our runners. We are going to sign off tonight, but our community races happen twice a week, so be sure to tune in next week for more Free Enterprise.